Hello everyone, and welcome to the Royal Academy of Dance Centenary Dance Teacher Awards celebration. These awards were created to celebrate and honour the excellence of RAD registered teachers from around the world. We want to take this occasion to acknowledge their achievements and to showcase their contributions and commitment to the wider field of dance teaching. I want to extend my congratulations to all teachers who were nominated and shortlisted. The supporting statements that accompanied the nominations were nothing short of inspiring and reflected the talent, dedication, and commitment you all show to your teaching. With such an incredible pool of individuals, I know the shortlisting and judging panels had a really difficult time in making their decisions. I'd like to thank each and every one of you who nominated a teacher and took time to participate in the public vote. I'm certain that the displays of support for your teachers, particularly during such challenging times, means the world to them. I'd also like to thank the judging panel. The 4 categories demonstrated the wide variety of areas that RAD registered teachers operate in. Your understanding of these fields enabled you to work together to decide the 4 winners, and I can't wait to hear the results. Lastly, but by no means least, I'd like to thank you, our community of teachers, and all the work you do in inspiring people to dance around the world. Congratulations once again to all of you.
I'm delighted to have this opportunity to speak to our 4 winners of the RAD Centenary Dance Teacher Awards for 2020. Welcome to Hong, Cooper, Nicola, and Sarah. Thank you for taking time to speak to me today. I thought it would be really interesting for our membership and others to find out a little bit more about you. So starting with Hong, as a new career teacher, I understand that you were graduated in 2017. I'm wondering what has been your most satisfying achievement to date?
I just started my teaching career, so the biggest achievement for me would be I share the philosophy of inclusive to the student not only in the UK where I teach, but also worldwide. And I joined the ballet school in China where I provide ballet teacher training. Also, I gave talks to the parents about dance science, safe practice, and why children can start ballet in an early age.
Okay, excellent. It sounds like you're really on a roll now of spreading the word about safe practice and inclusive practice through dance. So what is your next goal?
I think I would like to be an RAD examiner in the future and spreading the RAD ethos and my understanding of ballet worldwide.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Hong. So Cooper, you're joining us from Kenya today. So in terms of community engagement, how do you see dance making a difference to people's lives?
Well, dance and specifically ballet is really new here in Kenya. And it began mostly with just giving children the opportunity to set aside their stresses and their worries, which there are ample of here, with food shortages and people not being able to pay school fees. But when they were coming to dance just for an hour a week, they were able to forget all of those worries and just focus on being children, enjoying movement. But now that I've been here for 7 years and had some success building a school, a proper school, it's been really fun to watch the kids get accepted into international programs and leave the slums of Kenya and end up in London at the English National Ballet School or at the University of South Carolina, and just see that dance can fulfill dreams, and see younger kids here look up to those guys and aspire to do great things.
So I assume in the early days you had faced quite a lot of barriers, particularly as you're teaching to young people from disadvantaged backgrounds. So what were some of those barriers and how did you overcome them?
Some of them were just quite practical, things like unfinished floors in the less privileged areas that I was teaching in. There were no bars or no mirrors, no sound systems, no sprung floors. And I kind of saw from the beginning that until we got those things organized, nobody would be able to train at a professional level. So fundraising is, of course, something that has been a big challenge, but I've had support from the States and from the UK and from Europe and Australia and here in Kenya, and people from all over the world have come together to help me build this Dance Center Kenya, my studio, as well as donate money to Artists for Africa, our foundation that supports what we do. So also just culturally, people have had a hard time, and I think this is a lot of places understanding that, you know, ballet can be a job. But I think many people, we all deal with that around the world, trying to tell parents that this is worth your time and definitely can give a lot to the kids we serve.
I see, Nicola, you're nodding there, and you're working in Dubai at the moment. Some of the things that Cooper is saying, have you experienced that as well?
Yes, absolutely. I'm originally from Australia, and obviously I was teaching for many years before I moved here in 1990. When I first got here, I thought, my goodness, what have I done, and where am I going to move forward from here? And obviously the dance community wasn't very big in Dubai at that time. There were a few people who were trying to get the RAD to be interested in the area. So it was really quite exciting to actually help those people to establish a dance community here, get people to be interested, particularly in the RAD, so that we could get the RAD exams sort of established in this area. You know, being an expatriate place where most of the population is expatriate and lots of people are moving around, the RAD exams are a really important, all class awards of course, a really important sort of structure for kids to be able to move from one country to the next. They can pick up where they left off, they can find an RAD registered teacher, and that in itself is inclusive, and it allows those children to be more secure, more supported. It's a common element for them when they move to another country. So that was really exciting. I think that's how I kind of fell more into the mentoring role when I moved to Dubai rather than just the teaching. Obviously, as the dance community grew, it was very hard to find other qualified teaching staff in order to assist you as the dance classes in the community grew. So I kind of got into a bit of a grow your own teaching staff kind of scenario where a lot of the girls that I trained as students then went on to do their CBTS and then went on to work for me. And yeah, so that's kind of really exciting. And I'm really proud that all the staff at Dance Horizons are actually ex-students and ex-CBTS students. So it's a real family for us.
You won the award for an outstanding mentor. What characteristics do you think make an outstanding mentor?
Obviously patience is you know the biggest thing. I think recognizing someone as an individual, trying to find out what their strengths and their weaknesses are. And I think the most important thing is to let them be themselves, let them develop themselves. We don't want all the different teachers to be carbon copies of their mentor. They need to show their own personality. And I found that in the CBTS students that I have mentored, it's been wonderful because different people complement each other in different ways while they're teaching, and it becomes a real team effort then, which is great.
So through your mentoring experience, have you learnt more about yourself as a dance teacher?
Oh, absolutely. And I think particularly during lockdown, I was actually in Australia at the time. I went to Australia for 2 weeks, and 6 months later, I managed to get back here. So mentoring from afar had its challenges, but it was wonderful because you can, as I said before, you can see the younger teachers developing themselves. And I think as a mentor, you learn from the people that you're helping. Everybody has something to bring to the table. Everybody can learn something. And when you likewise, I look at younger teachers and think, wow, that's a really good idea. I never thought about that before. Or, isn't that wonderful? We learn from each other, and it has to be a team effort with all of these things. I've learned a lot about technology as well.
I think all of us have done that in the last year, and I think these past few months, it's quite amazing that we're all here together, and touch wood at the moment, our technology doesn't seem to be failing us. Thanks, Nicola. Sarah, thank you for joining us today. You won the award for RAD advocacy. So I'm wondering what it means to you to be connected to the Royal Academy of Dance.
I think the main thing the Royal Academy of Dance gives me is a touch of prestige. The RAD brand is top notch and it's internationally recognised. But if you've got an RAD qualification and a label, it's the thorough, proper, safe, excellent training. So that brand is really valuable. Not only in the ballet schools, but as I've sort of deviated my work and gone into maybe care homes, community centres, even people that don't really understand the dance work, the Royal Academy of Dance, it gives them faith. Back to a little bit of what Nicola was saying as well, maybe over lockdown, there's the sense of community, we've got a sense of family, and with all the guidelines and changes and you must do this and you must do that, we've got the RAD there to sort of look after us and make us feel, because dance teaching can be quite lonely. Quite often there's one or maybe a small number of teachers in a school, but having that RAD family is a real lovely thing to have.
Excellent. And I think that is a family, being 2020 our centenary year, a family with 100 years of heritage. And while some things have changed, some of the really very core basic principles and the ethos, Hong, you talked about the ethos, high standards, expectations, have been extended to be inclusive. And I think we've all shown that in our practices, we do sort of match and try and demonstrate those principles in our own practice. So I'll start with Sarah. What would your advice be to a young person who is thinking of dance teaching as a career?
First of all, I would make sure they really, really wanted it, because it's not an easy career. I remember somebody saying to me when I was young, it's antisocial hours, and I didn't really appreciate that meant every evening and most weekends, when all your friends are off out up the pub or wherever, we're in the studio. It's so fulfilling, and it's my pleasure to be in the studio rather than elsewhere, but you do have to want it. And the other thing, I was injured during my dance training. So even though you're going for a teaching career, you still need your body. So to back it up as well with other forms of education, give yourself as broad a background as possible. To be able to give students not just the facility to be a dancer, but to bring lots of other things to their dance education. So friendship, self-confidence, exploring, etc.
And I think that's quite interesting, Sarah. You talk about dance as education and not training. Now, training is really, really important if we're having those high standards. But for many, it's more than just the training of the body. It is an education of the whole person. So, Hong, as a new career teacher, is your teaching career what you expected it would be like?
I think I would just quote a teacher once said to me, and she said, being a dance teacher will not will not make you become rich, but will make you feel very rewarding. I think that's so true. I think when I had my placement in my second year, and I had taught a student from Magpie, which I taught a student with special requirements. And after 4 years, And somehow I just met them at Roll Up Her House, exact the same group student, and some of them still remembered me. So that made me feel very, very rewarding, and I can see them become more social, and I see them grow. So I'm very happy for them.
Yes, it's amazing the people that you meet. You may have taught them 10, 15, 20 years ago. They're doing totally different careers now. And they'll say, and for me, for them to say, I remember when you taught us X, Y, and Z, it's so rewarding that they have that. So Nicola, you must have that experience of having taught hundreds and hundreds of students. What would your advice be to anyone thinking of a career in dance teaching?
I think I sort of fell into teaching rather than making it a conscious decision to be a teacher. So it was just like a natural progression for me. I can't remember ever not teaching. When I was only about 11 or 12 and doing elementary at the time, we were expected to stay and help with the younger children. And that continued all the way through. And I was teaching, you know, all day on a Saturday while I was doing my Advanced 2 and Solo Seal. So I did sort of fall into it. It was just natural for me. When I had to make a decision about the teaching was when I left school, obviously. And even though I did meet the requirements to study medicine, as my elder brother did, and the expectation was there for me to sort of follow in his footsteps, I just put my foot down basically and said, no, I want to teach. And I think that was the moment when I really knew I wanted to teach rather than I was just sort of doing it as a part-time job or to earn money. Yeah, so that was quite exciting. And then from there on, I really carried on a lot more with my academic studies with anatomy and music and dance history and those sorts of things. And so now when I teach and when I mentor, I try to pass all of that on as well. It's wonderful to see the lifelong friendships I've got. As you said, I've got, you know, hundreds of girls that still keep in touch with me. I've got lots of students that have continued on to become teachers, or they've used their dance their dance skills and their dance knowledge in other areas like physiotherapy. Some of them have gone on and opened up their dancewear businesses. They're interested in child psychology, or they've just gone into teaching in another area. So it's so rewarding. And as you said, you know, even if they've never used their dance directly in their careers, it's always there. The discipline that they've gained from it, the lifelong friendships, as I said, it's wonderful. Even if you just get invited to someone's wedding for years and years and years, you know, it's really nice to know that you actually did make an impact on somebody else's life, no matter how small or large that might have been. Very
Absolutely. And Cooper, you made the transition from being a professional dancer into becoming a teacher. What advice would you give to young people thinking they might like to be a dance teacher, and in particular to professional dancers who are thinking of making that transition from the stage to the studio?
Kind of touching on what some of the other ladies have already said, one of the main things that was important for my transition was studying, not thinking just because I had a career on stage that qualified me or gave me the information that I needed to be a good teacher. So going through the certification program, I did the professional teaching certification in Berlin. I got a lot more information, but then also I got certified in Pilates and did a lot of anatomy and that kind of, and just, I think sometimes just because, you know, you can do 32 flettes doesn't mean you know how to teach someone else how all of that works. And the things that came naturally to me are harder for me to teach. Doing teacher training and getting more education has been very important. Plus I even went to university for history, and just having more of an academic background than a lot of dancers often have. So I think I would hope more professional ballerinas and dancers will take the time during the off season to study a bit and get a little deeper before just starting to teach with just your own experiences. Because when you're working with all these different bodies, you need to know more than how it worked for you. And, also with thinking. And just because you're visual doesn't mean all of your students will be.
Excellent. Well, ladies, it's been an absolute delight speaking with you today. Once again, congratulations on your achievements. And I think it's a goodbye from me and a goodbye from Cooper, Sarah, Hong, and Nicola. Thank you.
Thank you.